House. You can see clearly in your shots the minority caucus clad in black attire, wearing nose mask and singing and chanting against an attempt by the majority leader, Mahama Ayariga, to react to their initial call for the withdrawal of the letter signed by the clerk to Parliament, which was referred to the Electoral Commission declaring the Kpandai seat vacant. That was the initial demand by the minority for that letter to be withdrawn before they can partake in any parliamentary business. Now, right after that submission, some hours ago, the chanting also continued from there. And this made the speaker, the first deputy speaker, who was chairing proceedings at the time, vacate the seat or suspend the seat for some 5 minutes. However, it took more than 5 minutes, almost 2-3 hours before he came back to take the seat. And when he took the seat, he gave the minority chief whip, Frank Anadompre, the opportunity to rehash the point that he earlier made. However, the minority caucus said they wouldn't agree to that. The minority caucus said they will not agree to that. Now, what we see now is the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin himself, making an entry into the chamber to take his seat and chair proceedings. We expecting to see that Speaker would be able to stamp his authority to ensure that there is some calm and order in the House. But as it stands now, the minority is opposed to any attempt by the majority leader, Mahama Ayariga, to comment on their request for the withdrawal of the letter that was sent to the Electoral Commission regarding the declaration of the Kpandai seat vacant. We know that the Tamale High Court ordered a rerun of the 2024 parliamentary election in Kpandai after its validity was challenged. Now, we know that Kpandai MP or former Kpandai MP Matthew Ndam has filed a stay of execution against this order. However, the court is yet to pronounce on this particular application. To that end, the House or the Speaker directed the Clerk of Parliament to write to the Electoral Commission declaring the seat vacant after the 7-day window allowed for the file of execution had elapsed. To this end, the minority today has clad itself in black attire with nose mask, chanting and banking tables in opposition to an attempt by the majority leader Mahama Ayariga to react or make a comment to their request. We have the Speaker himself, Alban Bagbin, taking over from the first Deputy Speaker, Bernard Ahiafo. And we are hoping that the leadership of the Minority Caucus would be able to calm tempers and restore order in the House. That is exactly what the first Deputy Minority Whip and the Minority Chief Whip, Frank Anadompre, as well as Patricia Piaget, Deputy Minority Leader, are trying to restore order amongst their caucus to ensure the Speaker, Alban Bagbin, makes some pronouncement on this matter. Now, the interesting thing is that while the House was on break, or suspension for that matter, the leadership of the Majority Caucus was also now trying to marshal its numbers into the House because most of them were not in the chamber to form quorum. And the plan by the minority is to ensure that if the majority insists to conduct business, it will raise the issue of quorum. And that delayed the suspension of the House. That is the plan. So the majority leadership had to marshal a few of its numbers in to ensure that they have the required numbers to conduct business. Now, these minority members are holding placards. In addition to their chanting of Mahama no tetem, we no go agree and all that, in opposition to the majority's attempt to react to their request for a withdrawal of the letter to the EC on the Kpandai seat. So despite the presence of Speaker Alban Bagbin, the minority members are still on with their opposition, their protest, chanting phrases, no one-party state, Mahama no third term, amongst others. Some of their placards also have the inscription, "We want peace in Ghana." Others also read, "CSOs, the media are in the pockets of Mahama," amongst others. Well, fortunately, or unfortunately, the protest has come to some end, and we believe that the Speaker, Alban Bagbin, would speak on this matter to ensure that calm is finally restored to the House.
Yes. Please let there be order. Before I inquire to know the state of affairs, it's important on your behalf acknowledge the presence of some visitors. We have students from the Muzano Senior High School, led by the patron of the school, Mrs. Samuel Kojo Esuman. Muzano Senior High School, led by the patron of the school, Mrs. Samuel Kojo Esuman. They are 65 in number, coming from the Gomwa West constituency. On your behalf, I warmly welcome them to the House of Parliament, which is the House of the people. As at now, we are occupying these seats on their behalf. So please, you are welcome, and don't be surprised. These are your products. It's Ghanaians who vote for us to be here. And therefore, in your seats, we have a few things to do today. And just please keenly watch what is happening Learn the good ones, not the bad ones. Honorable members, may I listen to the leaders to give me a brief of the current situation in the House before I proceed? Yes, Majority Leader and Leader of the House.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, Majority Leader. Honorable members, I want to humbly draw your attention to our standing orders. Honorable member, order in the House. Order in the House. page 73 of the standing orders. Chair to be heard in silence. Order 1261. The Speaker is responsible for the maintenance of order and observance of the rules of debate in the House. 1262. Whenever the Speaker addresses the House, any member standing shall immediately resume the member's seat, and the Speaker shall be heard in silence. 3. Whenever the Speaker rises in situations of disorder, any member standing shall immediately resume the member's seat. 4. A member shall not leave the member's seat while the Speaker is addressing the House. Honorable members, this is just to refresh your memory. Yes, on Sunday, I had the honor of hosting the first-timers at the residence of the Speaker, which I happen to occupy now. Honorable member, honorable members, this is the House of Representatives. This is not the Ghana Armed Forces. The Ghana Armed Forces have only men. In this House, we have men and women. So please, if you are directing questions, use a language that is gender compliant. Honorable members, please, I keenly observed all what took place this morning and this afternoon. But the order permits me, on resuming the seat, to at least inquire to know the state of affairs. Usually, we start with the leader of the House. If for any good reason you think that we should listen to somebody else, we will do so. But for business, it must continue to go on. Honorable members, please, we are in a democratic state. Honorable members, once again, I call the House to order. I want the sense of the House as to where to start from. If you want to vary the order, we are always applying, which is a convention now. Usually, the leader of the House is given the opportunity to start. I would definitely listen to other views. But this is a house of order. Please. Yes, leader of the House. Honorable members, honorable members, clearly we have a problem. We have to find a solution. I cannot guide the House to find a solution without listening to the House. Honorable members, Honorable members, honorable members, honorable members, honorable members, please, I know we cannot resolve the problem without a conclave, but I must first know the problem before. Honorable members, the gentleman, please, the gentleman on my right side is the clerk to Parliament. Honorable members, please. Honorable members, we need to position ourselves by preparing to have a conclave. Please, both sides will have to come to an understanding that there is a need for us to have a conclave where the Speaker will preside over the discussions at the conclave and then mediate for us to come to consensus. So please, I cannot just, after resuming the seat, just suspend sitting again.
debate will take place in open. The whole of Ghana will witness the debate. There will be no committee. There will be no committee of the whole. We are not compromising. We will not. The debate will take place here in open. You don't know who me. You think you don't know me, eh? The debate will take. We can sleep here for 1 week. The debate will take place. Ghanaians will know that you are wrong. Ghanaians will know that you are wrong. You don't know who me. You think you don't know me, eh? The debate will take. We can sleep here for 1 week. The debate will take place. Ghanaians will know that you are wrong. Ghanaians will know that you are wrong.
Honorable members, please, let peace prevail. Please. The alternative to peace is something that none of you will treasure. The alternative to peace is nothing that none of you will treasure. So please, let there be peace. We have the orders, and I'm bound to follow the orders. Please, I cannot do anything than to follow the orders, unless you change the standing orders. As at now, what I have before me are the standing orders as presently constituted. And that is what I'm going by. Please, we have to listen to the leader of the House. And the alternative, honorable members, because of the nature of the business before the House, the alternative is not, in fact, it's a no-go area. Business must go on today. Yes, in the interest of the country, in the interest of the public, the people that we represent here, business must go on. In your own interest, we have to continue with the business of the day. Please, for the last time, let business go on. Peace must prevail.
It's a confusing system. Yes, the tron.
Honorable members, after consultation, I'll suspend sitting for 5 minutes. I'll be back within 5 minutes. Sitting is accordingly suspended.
Scenes from Ghana's parliament where the minority insists on the withdrawal of the letter notifying the Electoral Commission of the occurrence of a vacancy owing to a court order for the rerun of the Kpandai constituency elections. As it stands now, this letter notifying the EC means that Matthew Nyindam can no longer hold himself as member of parliament for the Kpandai constituency as per the order of the High Court in Tamale. Fred Tejabano is still here with me in studio. And Fred, it looks like it will be a very long day today.
A very, very long day. The stalemate doesn't seem to be resolved.
Yeah.
The Parliament, the House resumed thinking that they would have spent over an hour to resolve their problems after the first Deputy Speaker indicated that he wanted to take a 5-minute break and return. It took more than an hour. When the House returned, the Speaker himself, Alban Bagbin, took over the seat, hoping that there would be a way forward with what is happening in the House. But it doesn't look like there's a way forward. The Speaker wanted the House to brief him on exactly what transpired before they took the suspension. And it looked like both sides of the House disagreed as to who would brief the Speaker first, whether it's going to be the majority leader who is the leader of the House, or the minority side. As we speak, the minority leader is not in town. So you have the deputy minority leader and the chief minority whip, Frank Adompre, leading the minority side. But it looks like the minority are against the fact that the leader of the House, who is the majority leader, would be the first person to speak and address the Speaker of Parliament to explain exactly what took place. So it's been a back and forth.
It looks like the protest on the minority side is that from what parliamentary correspondent Niaikwe Okai said in his commentary earlier, is that they'd prefer their chief whip to wrap up his submission on the matter before the majority leader, Mahama Yariga, can react to same. And so it looks like that is the basis or the foundation for their opposition. Because other than that, I don't know for how long they can continue to object or resist attempts by the majority leader to speak on the floor of the House.
Nana, your leader was speaking when the... in fact, he ended the... To be very fair, let's recap what happened. So before the House started or went on the suspension, Frank Anodompre had just completed himself, finished his submission
calling
to
for the
House,
reversal
of
the
clerk's letter. Then Roxin Dafiamakpo was about to speak when the minority stood up to object and stop him from speaking. That's when the first Deputy Speaker indicated that he wanted to take a suspension. He took that suspension and the House went on some break, about an hour and a half break. When they resumed, the speaker then came and says, I want an explanation. I want to understand exactly what is taking place. So the majority leader should now tell us what his side of the story is. But it looks like the minority believe that is a new speaker, the speaker himself. Therefore, they need to make their case again.
Yeah. Since it was better than Hiafo that was in the seat when they made their case early on.
So they want to make their case again before the majority leader would then respond to them. The speaker has tried so many times to find a resolution to this, to the point where he wanted to even call for a conclave. So when the speaker calls for a conclave in the House, what he means is that now they are going to sit in camera. So that everybody now would bring their grievances in camera. It will not be in public as we saw some few minutes ago. Then the majority also stood up and said what? They were not going to allow for the conclave. You could hear clearly the majority leader, Ayariga, say that he was not going to allow it. He was going, if they were going to stand there for 1 week, he is prepared to get them to be there for 1 week till he makes his submission. It's quite interesting why the two sides of the House have not been able to find a resolution to just this very simple issue. But Nana, once again, it takes us back to about a year ago. So this same thing in Parliament is playing back something which happened about a year ago. So you recall, this also had to do with a vacant seat. There are 6 vacant seats before the election, where you had some members of the majority then now crossing to be independent candidates, and a member of the minority then also wanting to contest as an independent or filing to contest as an independent candidate. You'll recall that because of that issue, Parliament could not sit for so many weeks because it was a back and forth. The majority said they were a minority. The minority said they were a majority. They were not going to allow each side to lead the House. And it looks like it's the same thing playing out here, all because of a vacant seat or a seat which has been declared vacant by Parliament.
But Fred, I mean, we know the numbers in the House as it stands now. There's an absolute majority on the side of the NDC members of Parliament in the House. So is it that the minority is being disruptive, or really what is the playbook here?
I think it's just to be disruptive, because if it comes to numbers, you are not going to match the majority. And this particular debate is not about voting.
True.
It's about, it's just a debate as to whether the Parliament took a right decision by writing to the Electoral Commission declaring the seat vacant or not. So it's a debate. And I think what the minority sees is that, look, you could have the numbers, but we could also decide whether things would go on smoothly or not. So if you don't allow us to be heard, we are going to disrupt the whole hearing, and nobody will be heard during the hearing. So I think that's the strategy of the minority in this particular issue, that let us be heard. If you don't want to get us, or you don't allow us to be heard, we are also going to make sure that you will not be heard. So that's what is happening.
Right. You know, early in the day, I asked about whether it would have made a difference who the speaker sitting in the chair was when the first boycott happened. And then it was Bernard Ahiafo. I'll come back to this question, but let me go to Parliament. Our parliamentary correspondent, Niaikwe Okai, is joining us live. I'm sure he has an MP or a member of the House. I'm not sure which one. Well, the member of Parliament for Efia, that's Isaac Boamanyako, on standby. So let's go over to Parliament and let's listen to his engagement with the MP.
So I have been joined by the member of Parliament for Efia, Honorable Isaac Boamanyako, to speak to us on what exactly the situation is on the floor of the House today. We know that as a caucus, they have made it clear to the Speaker that the letter that was sent to the Electoral Commission declaring the Kpandai seat vacant should be reversed as soon as possible. Now, they have made that particular call, but we are yet to hear from the Speaker. Honorable, we know that per practice, when you have made this point clear through your leader, at least there should be a response from the majority side. However, in this situation, you are denying the majority leader an opportunity to comment on this matter. Why?
You see, thank you very much. The point has to be made that our position clearly articulated is before the Speaker. This is a House of Records, and so Speaker can easily call Hansard and then deal with it. Our objection to the majority leader coming to make any pronouncement is that it doesn't lie in his bosom to respond to the issues that we've raised. The issues are directed straight on the table of the Speaker of Parliament. And so we don't want any delay and any attempt to water down, try to justify anything from the side of the majority. It is a position at the bosom of the Speaker. And so we expect the Speaker to respond immediately to our request, let him give his directives, and then we'll continue to do business. But this situation of inviting the majority leader to come and say what? We've never said anything to the majority leader. This is an address, it's a letter written by the clerk to Parliament. It is under the instruction of the Speaker of Parliament. And so we want the Speaker to deal with the issue, then we can proceed from there.
Now, he's the leader of government business. For all you know, he could be varying the order of business for other activities to take place. Why don't you just give him a fair hearing so that if what he's about to say contravenes your demand or goes, against whatever you've said, then you could make your protest?
We've always compromised in this chamber. You know, we've supported government business every step on the way. But many a times we felt betrayed by the same leadership on the majority side, who feel like, yes, we can be accommodated, but when they want to do their own thing, they'll proceed and do it. Our position, which is rightly stated, is that this reference is to the Speaker. We don't need majority leader to pass comments or statements around it. Let the Speaker give us his directive, and then we'll continue to hear down the majority leader. But the beauty of it is that Speaker has suspended sitting. We may have invited the leadership, and so when our leaders go to conclave and then discuss with the Speaker, whatever the outcome is, when we are advised by leadership, we comply.
On the subject matter in question, we know that the person in focus, Kpandai MP, has filed a stay of execution. Why don't we wait for the order of the court before any further action, so that for now business could continue?
No, it is exactly the reason we are where we are. The Speaker, in giving a ruling the last time this issue was brought about the court's judgment, the Speaker ruled that one, he's given a grace period of 1 week, but then if processes are triggered, like the application for stay of execution, amongst others, to quash those decisions, it will serve as a stay. It is clearly in the ruling of the Speaker. So the Speaker indicated that when the person affected, Honorable Matthew Nyindam, files any process including stay of execution, this stay would amount to a stay of the process. And so we are taken aback why the ruling of the Speaker himself is being taken contrary to the position that he has taken. That now a letter has been written to the Electoral Commission to declare the seat vacant. It is not in consonance with the determination.
Is it not because the 7-day window period has elapsed?
But we have found the processes. There's a process for stay of execution at the High Court and at the Court of Appeal. And in the Speaker's ruling, he said that when those applications are in force, it serves as a stay. So once the Speaker is seized with these facts, it is very, very surprising that the clerk to Parliament would write that letter to the EC declaring the seat vacant.
What will be the state of business for today?
It's all about compromise. It's about one understanding the other and letting us know that why are we in haste? Even in the matter of Jachikwesi that they raised, was there a declaration to declare the seat vacant? We didn't have any declaration. They allowed him to fight his battle in court until the court made the final determination, and then they went for a rerun. There was no declaration of vacancy. So why are we making a declaration of vacancy today? We have precedents to guide us. Jachikwesi was in court. he was not coming to Parliament or he would come. But the end product is that the court process was fully exhausted before a final rerun was made. So if we have these applications before the court, why are we in a hurry to declare the seat vacant? And that is what I'm saying, that write-up is contrary to the Speaker's own ruling, as he declared to this House. And that's what we have drawn is that, after all, the Speaker is human and to err is human. So I'm sure when they go into conclave and all these facts are put before him, the needful will be done. But we will not allow ourselves to be cowed and to be bullied just because we don't have the numbers. And then when we know that this House, which is a house of law, which is a parliament that passes law, will be acting in direct and blatant disregard to the law, that will not happen.
Now, your leadership is in a conclave meeting, as you rightly stated. Should there be an agreement that business should continue so that we put this matter on hold for now? As a group, are we going to see some compliance from your side?
Oh, once our leadership comes to brief us and then we agree with that same position, we would comply with whatever our leadership and what we had indicated, which is the withdrawal of the letter to EC. So the letter need not be written, but there should be a firm commitment that there will be a withdrawal so that the court process can continue and then business can continue from there.
Thank you so much for speaking.
Most grateful for the opportunity.
So, Nana, you heard me speak to the MP for Efia, Isaac Boamanyakun, sharing with us his perspectives on happenings on the floor of Parliament today. Right from the beginning of proceedings, the Minority Chief Whip, Frank Anodompre, made a statement to the House declaring or expressing the minority's displeasure with the letter from the Electoral Commission to the letter from the clerk to Parliament to the Electoral Commission to declare the Kpandai seat vacant. Now, the minority is very agitated about this particular letter, demanding that it should be reversed immediately. Based on that statement that was made, we didn't hear any comments from the majority side, neither the Speaker at the time, that's the First Deputy Speaker, Bernard Ahiafo, who was chairing proceedings at that moment. Chaos erupted, with minority caucus banging tables, chanting war songs, and then also declaring that business will not take place if their demand is not heeded to. Based on that, the First Deputy Speaker, who was chairing proceedings, had to suspend the House for 5 minutes, but it took more than even 2 hours for him to return. When he returned, there was still disorder in the House as the minority tried as much as possible to oppose an attempt by the majority leader, Mahama Yarga, to comment on that particular demand that they made. To this end, we saw the Speaker, Alban Bagbin himself, make an entry into the chamber to take over from the First Deputy Speaker. He's also made several attempts to ensure that there is calm and order. However, the minority insists on having the letter sent to the This has forced the suspension again to have the leadership of the House, both from the majority and minority sides, into conclave meeting. I have been joined by Honorable Member for Afajato South, Frank Efriye, to also speak to him. Honorable, thanks for joining us.
Pleasure is all mine.
So since 12:30, we haven't been able to do any government business today because the minority is demanding a withdrawal of the letter to the EC declaring the Kpandai seat vacant. Your side is also insisting that business must take place today. What is happening?
Well, as to what is happening, you have seen it yourself. Very unfortunate. It clearly looks like it's premeditated, highly planned, to disrupt today's proceeding. Because you see, the issues, if you really want to set them into perspective, are clear for everyone to see. We are dealing with the different arms of government. The judiciary has made a proclamation, which proclamation points to a rerun of a parliamentary election held in Kpandai. And then the Right Honourable Speaker had been joined to this whole thing through the Speaker to Parliament. And indeed, when it happens that way, you must comply with democratic principles. We have stated procedures as in law that when the court pronounces and there is nothing barring Parliament from discharging its duty by way of injunction, the Speaker and then the clerk, they are duty bound ferry this to the right quarters, which is the Electoral Commission.
At this point, their argument is the stay of execution has been filed. So why don't we wait for the court to make a pronouncement before going ahead to declare that seat vacant?
The truth of the matter is that Parliament is a distinct arm of government. And if nothing legally, constitutionally bars it from performing this particular duty, then you agree with me that you cannot say that the Speaker should hold on until God knows when. Indeed, the court can take the next 5-10 years, to come to deal with the appellate case that the member is seeking to do. You understand my point? And so if any grave injustice or whatsoever will be meted out to him, I believe that the ground will be able to speak, because you have held election. 41 of the polling stations are being in grave dispute. The court has gone into the issue, and the court says that they should be rerun. The whole parliamentary election should be rerun. I believe that everything is almost constant. The two candidates are still alive. Their support base is nothing, absolutely nothing has varied. And so where you test your strength, your popularity is Kpandai before the voters. And so all that we are doing over here, whether you are from Kwadaso or you are from Nsawa and Rajiri or you are from Afajato, we have very little say in what the people of Kpandai will do. In as much as somebody will argue that he is being given unfair opportunity in the sense that he must exhaust all the legal avenues there are for him, I think that finally, the court will have to make a proclamation, which judgment will have to be what? Reflective in the decision that the people of Kpandai will make. And so I do not see the head and tail of the agitation that is ongoing over here. When the member himself is not crying as they are seeking to cry, it clearly shows that they are...
But it's part of a group, so they are showing solidarity.
Solidarity, fine. But when you go to such an extent that appears a bit unreasonable, then it becomes very destructive to the democratic culture we are practicing. I think that for me, that is the point of worry. To the extent that the standing orders of the House are no longer operative, the Speaker rises and they are unable to give him that reverence or respect. I think it's unfortunate. But we can understand that on the spur of the moment, anger have flared up, and then, of course, some of these things are bound to happen. But I believe that cool heads must prevail, so that as a house, we become model and example for the people out there. If the chamber that is made up of the best representatives of all the 276 constituencies that we have at the moment, if we cannot conduct ourselves well, can you imagine what will happen on the ground when this by-election sets in motion? So I think that what we do can cascade into what will happen on the ground. Is the more reason we must behave well in such a way that no single life will be lost, or there will not be destruction to property as well.
Will the majority conduct any business today?
Well, that lies in the bosom of the Speaker, and rightly, as you might have seen, leadership has gone back into conclave. I think the essence is to see as much as possible how we are able to judge or behind the scene among leadership, so that the rippling effect will be brought to bear on the rest of the membership on both sides of the aisle. I think that when they come back, we expect that we have a lot of business ahead of the rising period, which is 19th of this month, all things being equal. And so the budget estimates from some ministries, departments, and agencies, some are still pending. And we have a lot of business to conduct before rising. And of course, in our various constituencies, to tall order invitations for programs here and there. And we are stressed. We also need a day or two with our families. Once we are stressed, we know you are also stressed, because you bear with us, you stay with us, whether day or night. And so we need to pursue legitimate business. Once we are through, we can do some of this agitation.
Now, in the argument of the minority chief whip, it stated that in all their happenings on the floor, they've assisted you in conducting your business, assisted you to approve your loans, your bills, your motions, and what have you. So they see this particular act as a form of a betrayal. Now, as a majority caucus, when we had the first suspension, it was supposed to be for 5 minutes, but it took more than 2 hours. The sense we had was that your numbers were not up to you couldn't form quorum. Now, when it comes to the majority side, in terms of numbers, what exactly prevents most of your colleagues from coming to the floor to do parliamentary business?
Well, I think that plethora of forces and factors. You are very well versed with proceedings of Parliament. And then within this time, we have a lot of committees sitting more or less in conclave, if I'll put it that way, to consider estimates from the various ministries, departments and agencies. So it's partly responsible for the low numbers on the floor. Because what the floor does, what plenary does, is occasion, is foundation on what comes from the various committee deliberation. And so I think that largely has been the case. But you see, I must applaud the minority side for the sense of cooperation and partnership within this period. And you would have noticed that some couple of days back, the member concerned for Kpandai wanted to contribute to the budget statement. And some elements, respectfully, respected members of Parliament on our side wanted to prevent him. But then the Speaker said, look, he has served a motion, and that within 7 days, he was at liberty to partake in the proceedings of the House. Thereafter, then at least he will forfeit that opportunity. And so anyone who makes the point that we have not reciprocated or returned that goodwill, then the person is being a bit uncharitable. I think that so far, both sides have cooperated well. It's the same I am expecting to happen, that we let this go. The good people of Kpandai will decide. National security should take charge of Kpandai. If indeed the situation on ground is precarious, it's point to the one that will lead to loss of property and lives, I think that they will advise the president so that even though democracy says that the court directs, the seat is vacant, you go in to fill it. If Ghana will burn as a result of one seat, then I think that we need to preserve Ghana so that that one seat will be put on hold. I mean, based on my personal assessment and the way leaders must be seen to be operating.
Thank you so much for speaking.
Pleasure is all mine.
So that's the Member of Parliament for Afajato South, Frank Efriye, speaking to us on the happenings on the floor of Parliament today. Since morning, no major business activity, parliamentary business has taken place today because the minority has been in protest against the letter from the Clerk of Parliament to the Office of the Electoral Commission demanding the declaration of declaring the seat of Kpandai vacant following an order of the Tamale High Court for a rerun of the Kpandai parliamentary election as a result of a challenge of its validity. The minority has been clad in black attire throughout today. They've been wearing their nose masks, chanting songs and banging tables in protest against this particular directive after an official statement was made by the minority chief whip Frank Anodompre. Now the speaker, upon chairing proceedings, made an attempt to have the majority leader Mahama Yariga to make a comment on this particular demand by the minority caucus. However, the minority kicked against that particular attempt by the majority leader, despite several attempts by the speaker, Alban Bagbin, to at least give a hearing to the majority leader on this matter. The minority has been against that. This has forced the speaker to adjourn, to suspend sittings for 5 minutes. It's past 5 minutes, and we are yet to have him return. He is engaged in a conclave meeting with the leadership of the House from both sides, the majority and minority, to ensure that a resolution is made on this particular subject matter so that business activities can take place. Initially, the plan was for the Speaker, Alban Bagbin, to adjourn proceedings for today so that business activities could be referred to tomorrow. However, the majority side was also vehemently against this particular decision that the Speaker had wanted to take. And that was when we saw the misunderstanding between both forces on the floor. However, the Speaker, Alban Bagbin, had to make numerous attempts to ensure that there was order in the House. As it stands now, like I said earlier, they are in a conclave meeting to ensure that a lasting peace or solution is found to this particular matter, whether the Speaker would issue a directive to the Clerk of Parliament to have this particular letter withdrawn, or the minority side would also agree to have business of the House continue until the pronouncement of the court on the stay of execution that has been filed by the Member of Parliament for Kpandai, Matthew Nyindam. Only time will tell. Back to you in the studio, Nana.
Well, all right. Thank you very much, Nia Ikwe Okai, our parliamentary correspondent, bringing us up to speed regarding the matter of the letter from the Clerk of Parliament notifying the Electoral Commission of an occurrence of a vacancy in the House following a High Court order for a rerun of the Kpandai seat. Now, I'm still here with Fred Tete Jabano in studio. Now, Fred, at least now there's some clarity on the minority's objection to the majority leader commenting on their position.
Yes, the minority is saying that our statement is to the Speaker, and we just expect the Speaker to rule or say, give a direction as to what our statement is. It's not up for debate. The majority is saying, no, once you make a statement, we also have to speak about it. So that's where the standoff is. The majority wants to make a statement on the statement of the minority.
Right.
The minority is saying, no, this is a statement directed to the speaker. So the Speaker will not give his ruling or directive, and that ends it. So that's what has caused the back and forth since afternoon.
Well, it's quite an interesting scene unfolding in the House, all the drama and everything. But it looks like the minority actually came prepared because with all the orders of the House that the Speaker has invoked, it looks like the minority is not budging this time around.
You know, for a very long time, the minority have had the feeling that because of the numbers of the majority, they always say they try to get their way through everything, looking at their numbers. So you see the minority always complaining that you think you can do anything you want to do. You think you can sideline us. We still have a right to get our voices heard. You can do what you want to do, but our voices must be heard. And it looks like having this at the back of their minds, they came in very prepared, wanting to ensure that they are heard and what they expect to be done is done. So once they realize that the majority wants to react, or they feel like the majority wants to bully their way through, they are going to disrupt the hearings and the proceedings so that nothing happens. And it looks so far that they've succeeded with that plan.
Well, it also looks to me as though there's a change in the strategy of the minority now. Early on, in the early days of the 9th Parliament, it was more of walkouts. But now it looks like stay and disrupt.
Yes.
I don't know if you're picking same sentiment.
It looks like that's what they want to do. And if this one succeeds, we should look forward to a lot more of such actions by the minority, where when they realize that, look, this will not go away, or we feel we are being cheated, or we feel we are being bullied by the majority. By the numbers, we will then disrupt the hearings of the House. And if, as I said, this one succeeds, it's going to be something they are going to add to their playbook going forward. But then I expect that the Speaker stands his grounds and takes actions. Parliament has a lot of instruments and a lot of rules to deal with such issues, where if either side of the House decides to disrupt the hearings or the workings of the House, there are actions which are taken. For example, you would recall that whilst we were watching it, we saw the Speaker engage the Marshal. Where the Marshal had to then go and talk to both sides of the House and come and report to the Speaker. It gets to a point in parliamentary proceedings when the Speaker can then order the Marshal to take someone out of the House.
Chamber.
Out of the chamber during debates. So it looks like the Speaker now should also be ready to use all these tools available to him to ensure that there's discipline in the House, both from the majority and the minority. Otherwise, I don't think that we are going to have a really working parliament where people are supposed to judge or debate and come out with decisions which would help the development of this country.
Right. And then earlier I was asking about the personalities of the speakers and whether the attitudes of either side will change based on who is in the seats at what time. And I asked so because earlier on when Ahiafo was in the seat and the initial speech or statement of the minority was made, he rose.
Yes.
And by, if you like, parliamentary conduct, when the speaker is on his feet, all others must be seated.
Yes.
But there was still the disruption going. When Alban Bagman came in, he supplied same authority twice.
Yes.
And all 2 times it's worked.
You know, the difficulty with the first or second deputy speaker is that a lot of the times the members see them as part of them.
Right.
Because they are elected as members. For a speaker, the speaker is not a member of parliament.
Exactly.
You understand? So you are either from the majority side or the minority side. And so you are seen to be a part of the house in terms of being a parliamentarian. So a lot of the times that respect is also not there. The next thing is that the personality of the individuals who occupy the position and how they manage to interact or they manage their interactions with the rest of the house also goes a lot into how the members of the house would also show some kind of respect to you. Don't forget that this parliament started with Bernard Ahiafo, who was then, who is the chairman of the appointment committee. And the back and forth with the minority leader, the back and forth with some members of parliament. So it didn't really start on a good note. There's a bit of, how will I say it? I wouldn't call it disrespect, but I think that there's...
Fred, hold on for me. I'll come back to that. But let's quickly go to Parliament. Ni is currently engaging the Member of Parliament for Fasia Yobikojo Oponkroma.
Have been done without a speaker's knowledge?
We are not going to go into how things are handled in the Speaker's office. What we are saying is that there's precedent. Mr. Speaker himself, sitting on that chair, gave a clear ruling. So what we need is the assurance from Mr. Speaker, not what we the parties are going to debate and say on the floor, but an assurance from Mr. Speaker that the decision he took stands and that no pressure has been brought on him to change that position as part of a grand conspiracy that is going on in this country. No pressure has been brought of him. The position that he took stands. And when that, I mean, look at it. From the last 2 weeks, we've been cooperating with the government side doing business. Today, there are reports to be taken. We're happy to continue and take appropriation. But if they want to now bring pressure to bear on Mr. Speaker and other elements in the state to twist their arms to do this injustice, then cooperation will suffer here in the chamber.
Then the question is, who is giving that pressure? Who is pressuring the Speaker or the clerk to take this action?
Anybody who in this country claims he's not aware of the persons who stand to benefit from a declaration of vacancy and the use of the state machinery to take over the Kpandai seat so that there will be an overwhelming majority in Parliament for the purposes of constitutional amendments and other things. It's just being naive. There's a whole grand scheme going on. We initially warned that there's first an effort to remove the Chief Justice. People said, oh, it's due process, Article 146. It has come to pass. We told you that they are going to remove the EC chair and deputies. People said it's not true, nothing is happening. It is rolling on. We are telling you that they are looking for an overwhelming majority here in the chamber for purposes of constitutional amendment towards a particular goal.
What is that goal?
Again, people, you don't worry. We'll go step by step. Again, people are saying it's not true. It won't happen. There's no truth in it. There's an agenda ongoing. It is being executed step by step. And we will ensure that that pressure that is being brought on Mr. Speaker and some other elements in the state, including the courts, to participate in that agenda is stopped. And that is why we are having to go on this exercise of ensuring that cooperation will not happen in the chamber.
Is that why we hear from your side chanting Mahama no third term?
That is the reason for which you hear that, because it is part of the intelligence that is being picked up, that there's a grand scheme that is rolling all into place. And they are rolling it out. For us, listen, people stood for hours in the queues in Kpandai to vote for a particular person for that seat. And organs of state are being maneuvered to snatch that seat away and add it to the already existent two-thirds majority to make it an overwhelming majority so that it can pursue a particular agenda. The least we can do is to stand on our feet and make sure that that injustice is not done, and that's why we are doing this.
There are some who would say that you set a precedent. When you came into power, there was an EC that you removed from office. And even in this chamber, there is also the reference to what happened during the James Jachikwesin period. Clearly, that is the argument by some that you've already set the precedent, so you shouldn't be blaming what is coming or accusing people of what is happening now.
Well, so today, for example, we are not discussing the EC, but I'll explain to you what happened. In that particular case, the chair of the EC, Madam Charlotte, says the one who petitioned for the removal of her deputies, and they counter-petitioned against her. The result of those petitions is what led to her exit from office. More importantly, there was no pre-advertised agenda to get rid of her. There was no pre-advertised agenda to get rid of a Chief Justice. In this instance, before the NDC came to power, there was a pre-advertised agenda to get rid of the Chief Justice. And it's been covered with procedure, and the Chief Justice has been ousted. There's a pre-advertised agenda to get rid of the EC Commissioner and her deputies. It has been rolled out, petitions, and then they will say, oh, it's procedure, it's procedure. We are telling you, if you still don't believe it, that there's a pre-advertised agenda to ensure that there's an overwhelming majority in this chamber for the purposes of constitutional amendments. It is coming. And what we can do is to stand on our feet and to draw Mr. Speaker's attention that he should not buckle to any pressure that is being put on him to declare the seat vacant, because he has already made that ruling. No amount of pressure should be brought on him.
Finally,
to make that
as a caucus, you have made your point clear through your minority chief whip that this particular letter should be withdrawn. Now, per practice, we know that once you make that submission, we should hear from the other side of the house. In this case, you are opposed to hearing from the majority. We do not know what exactly he's going to say. Why don't you just give him a fair hearing so that we know the way forward?
Procedure is being used to perpetrate injustice in this country. So what they are seeking to do is to cool down the temperature and normalize it with a long discussion and then tell us that we can go to court if we don't like it. We need to let people understand that this is a political chamber. And all the tools of the trade are available to us in this political chamber. Now, if injustice is being perpetrated of this nature, we will withdraw cooperation. So what we have done is to withdraw cooperation. And prior to this, we have been cooperating. Every single report that comes, we support. We are working towards appropriation on the 19th. There's no business that we haven't supported. We are minded to support the government business to go on. But now that they have elected to put a spanner in their own works by trying to use instruments of state to snatch this seat from us, we are left with no choice than to suspend cooperation. We have a lot of respect for Mr. Speaker. We wish we didn't have to do this, but they are leaving us with no choice than to withdraw cooperation. Look at how today business is suffered. All of those who've done hours of research and want to contribute to national development and to discussion, they have to shelve all of that because they have elected, contrary to Mr. Speaker's ruling, they have elected to now put a spanner in the works. And my brother, if you push a man to the wall, you will see sides of him that are untidy. So it is in their hands, it is in their bosom to give that clear indication that that letter flying on social media does not even need to be withdrawn, and that indeed that letter or that letter is fake, doesn't have any grounding. No amount of procedural maneuvering that this the procedure is going to change our mind. We have been clear. If you look at the energy from the backbenches, even when we are trying to tell them that, calm down, very clear that what is going to happen is that that assurance is required, else there will be no cooperation. It's unfortunate, but this is where we are.
But last from me, I've seen the member himself on social media indicate that he's confident of a victory after all of this. One would ask that if your side is this confident, why not just allow the process to go on for a rerun? Then you surely would win the seat back, if that's the case.
He's speaking in his personal capacity. I'm telling you the view of the caucus. You've seen up here in the gallery the acting national chairman of the New Patriotic Party, Chairman Bute, up here in the gallery. There's a clear party position, there's a clear caucus position. I hear the member of parliament express his personal view, but the position of the party, the position of the caucus supersedes that. That cooperation will not be extended for as long as Mr. Speaker has been pressurized to renege on his earlier ruling. That ruling sits with precedent. And as long as he's being pressurized, then we are afraid that he's now acquiescing to that pressure. Because what he told our leadership 2 days ago is not what we are seeing flying on social media. And there are efforts now to maneuver and say, let's go by procedure, let's hear from this side. It's unfortunate. But our caucus has been clear that cooperation will be withdrawn until that assurance is given that that letter is not genuine and that the Honorable Matthew Nyindam remains Member of Parliament for Kpandai. Let the courts go through the process of determining. The political chamber should not be inserted to be an interlocutor in this matter and attempt to snatch that seat for the purposes of getting some numbers to advance some constitutional amendments. And that is why we've had to take this position.
Thank you so much. And so I have been engaging...
So you heard the Member of Parliament for Ofuasi Ayerebi, Kojo Oponkroma, also speaking on the issue that has been happening on the floor of Parliament. Ashaman MP is also with us, and we will engage him briefly on this issue. Honorable, today on the floor of Parliament, we haven't seen any major business take place because your colleagues on the other side are protesting the letter from the Office of the Clerk of Parliament to the EC declaring the Kpandai seat vacant. Now, as a majority side of the House, how is this affecting proceedings?
Well, I think it's affecting proceedings and the government business, as you can all see. But it's just unfortunate that we are experiencing this at this particular time. Minority made a statement to that effect about the Kpandai seat. Now, what is left for them to do is to listen to the majority side in silence, because they made application to the Speaker to that effect, and the majority will also have to reply. Now, they are unwilling to listen to the majority, and they are unwilling to repeat what they have said before even the main Speaker came to take the seat. And so that is unfortunate, but the fact still remains that, yes, the High Court declared the seat vacant. You have filed a stay of execution. Yes, we rightly admit. But until that stay of execution is heard, whatever decision is taken by the High Court still remains. And if you listen to Speaker's ruling, he said the man remains a Member of Parliament until 1st December. That was what he said. Today is 9th December. And now the clerk has issued a notice that they're declaring the seat vacant. I don't think it lies in the mouth of minority or majority to say otherwise. Be it as it may, if that is the case, you have made an application to the Right Honourable Speaker, listening to the side of the majority as well. The clerk cannot speak on the floor. So when you are posing questions to the clerk of Parliament, to Parliament, you don't expect him to speak on the floor because he doesn't have that locus to defend himself on the floor. He speaks through the leadership. So allow the majority leader to also come out with whatever he has to say. And you wouldn't budge. You will make an unnecessary noise. But we are saying that it's just unfortunate and it's unnecessary at this point in time.
But talking about the Speaker's ruling, I know that he had also mentioned that when you look at Rule 27(1) of the CI 19, which is he quoted, if the member exercises his right to appeal, there may be a further suspension, which is the case the minority is making, that so far as he has triggered the process for the appeal, why not wait for that determination on the appeal before we consider the original ruling of the court?
And don't forget that Supreme Court also ruled that until that decision or that application is heard at the Supreme Court. You know, in those days, you can even file an injunction. And as soon as you file an injunction, it takes effect. But as we speak now, until that injunction is heard or is granted, it can never take effect. And that is the Supreme Court decision. And so the law, we always say, is the law. The Supreme Court is saying that until the application is heard, the effect of it can never be tenable. Whatever the decision that has been taken at the High Court, it still remains. And so if within a specific period of time, the clerk to Parliament has been served, duly served, he has to act on that because there's no other service other than the decision of the High Court to the clerk of Parliament.
Thank you so much for speaking. So that's the Member of Parliament for Ashaman, Ernest Henry Nogbe, also sharing perspectives on the happenings on the floor of Parliament today, where the minority caucus has been clad in black attire in protest against the decision by the House to declare the Kpandai seat vacant following an order by the Tamale High Court for a rerun of the 2024 Kpandai parliamentary election. Throughout the day, we haven't seen any major business activity take place because the minority has been opposing every attempt by the majority leader, Mahama Yariga, to react to an official statement they made demanding the immediate reversal of the letter to the EC for the declaring the Kpandai seat vacant. Attempts have been made by the Speaker, by the First Deputy Speaker, Bernard Ahiafo, who began proceedings with the House today, but had to suspend and then return later. However, he also could not maintain that particular order amongst the minority caucus. So we had the Speaker himself, Alban Bagman, also appear in the House to chair proceedings to ensure that there is calm and order amongst the minority caucus. Speaker decided that the majority leader, Mahama Yaga, should be given an opportunity to make a comment on this particular statement or demand made by the minority caucus demanding the immediate withdrawal of the letter to the EC for the declaration of the Kpandai seat vacant. So that is what has been happening on the floor of Parliament throughout Tuesday when the House commenced proceedings. We are expecting that as the Speaker is engaging the leadership on both sides of the House in a conclave meeting, a resolution would be made to ensure that we have a lasting peace for parliamentary business to take place. Back to you in the studio, Nana.
All right, thank you very much, Niaikwe Okai, our parliamentary correspondent, engaging some more members of parliament. And from what we've heard now, there's a twist to it. It looks like it's not just Kpandai that's the issue.
No, it looks like there's an end game.
Yes, on either side.
Yes, the minority is suspicious of the majority.
Yeah,
they believe that all these things which are happening, it's going to a particular goal. The goal being that they want an overwhelming majority to be able to carry out constitutional amendments. And when you heard Kojo Upon Nkrumah, and when he was pushed, it tells you that the amendment they believe as a minority is to enable President John Mahama to go for a third term. Even though President Mahama has stated clearly that he's not going to contest for a third term, they believe that this whole agenda is to ensure that they get some of their numbers out to be able to get an overwhelming majority. One of the concerns they are also raising is that there was a meeting held with the leadership 2 days ago, and it looks like the Speaker of Parliament gave some assurances. And now, following the letter, they believe that the Speaker's hands are being twisted to ensure that this agenda that they believe is taking place would succeed. So it's quite a very interesting thing playing out there in Parliament, where it's not just about the removal of the MP for Kpandai, but then there's a belief of a future amendment which they expect to be brought to the House. To get, and the majority, they believe that the majority is setting the stage to be able to get these amendments to go through. So it looks like it's something we are not going to see end today. Even if there's a resolution on how the House is going to go forward to deal with the hearings or the proceedings, in future sittings, you are going to see a lot more of this until maybe the Speaker comes out clearly to say that we have withdrawn the letter, we wait for the court to give a ruling, then we carry on. But it doesn't look like the majority is going to budge to that request. The majority believe that the case has been heard at the High Court. You filed your processes at the Court of Appeal, but the process in the Constitution in terms of when a seat is declared vacant and the Electoral Commission is supposed to hold elections should continue till the court comes to say, put it on hold.
And indeed, the High Court order is for the EC to conduct
within 30 days.
Within 30 days.
Yes.
So the specificity there is a timeline given, and then there's a direct order to the EC to act.
Yes.
So this is an executable order.
Yes.
Yes. But it looks like back in the House, we'll be seeing a lot of non-cooperation going forward.
Yes, Kojo Okonkuma made it very clear that when you have your backs pushed to the wall, you would react in ways that people don't expect you, or people haven't seen you react. So yes, for non-cooperation, if there's no resolution to this particular matter, it's something we are going to see going forward in the House of Parliament.
And it looks like the numbers are not in their favor. And it comes back to the point I raised earlier of how the Parliament, the ninth Parliament began, where we saw a lot of boycotts, walkouts. But now they know that if they don't stay and disrupt, business can still go on. Is that possible?
Yes, they realize that if you boycott and walk out, it doesn't do anything for you because the people still have the numbers to continue with the business.
Right.
They still have the numbers to take votes. They still have the numbers to take any decision they want to take. So what do? We decide to stay in, disrupt proceedings, would ensure that proceedings and hearings will not go anywhere. Then it will be suspension. Then the House will now have to adjourn for the next hearing. You'll recall that there's been a first 5 minutes break, suspension.
Yeah.
There's been a second 5 minutes suspension. And
how many more suspensions?
It's not all taking more than 5 minutes because both sides of the House are not ready to budge. They don't want to even sit for a consensus.
Yeah.
Everybody has taken a very entrenched position on this particular matter. Yeah. And once it's not resolved, the minority, I think, going forward, will take the action of going to disrupt proceedings and go away.
And without compromise, there's going to be very, very difficult for parliamentary business to be conducted.
Very, very, very difficult. Very, very difficult. I would always bring you back to 2024. Between October, November of 2024, before the elections, see the non-cooperation in the House and look at what happened. The House could not do any work. It could not transact any business.
Yeah.
Basically because one side said no, the other side said, I also believe in this. There was no, they didn't want to even come and sit down to agree on something. Yeah. And if we don't take care, this is what is going to happen. And it looks like the two sides of the House need to sit down and address this issue and address it well. The Speaker, who is well respected amongst both sides, should be able to stand his ground with any decision he feels right to take. And I believe that when the Speaker decides to take those decisions, the two sides should respect the decision of the Speaker so that we could have a functioning Parliament. If we don't have a functioning Parliament, as we speak now, they are debating appropriations.
Indeed.
And if you don't pass appropriations, government will not
clearly
work.
the government will grind to a halt.
It cannot work.
Exactly.
So you need to ensure that these appropriations are passed so that the government agencies could have their budgets approved and go on with the work of the state.
And there's a bit of a challenge from how I look at it, and it started from, if you like, the vetting of the Chief Justice. Mahama Yariga versus Afenyo Markin.
Yes.
And today, Afenyo is not in the House, but we're seeing it's more like Mahama Ayariga against the entire minority side.
Frank Anodompe.
Yes. And we saw him, how vehemently he said that you don't know me.
Yes.
We will not compromise. And it looks like it's a you do me, I do you type of thing going on now.
Yeah.
Just about a few minutes to hit 6 p.m. Irrespective of the outcome of this particular suspension, will the House be able to conduct business?
So the House began business around 2 p.m. And per the regulations, they would have to go to like 8. After 8 o'clock, then the Speaker would have to ask for an extended period. Looking at the time now, if there's a resolution, I'm sure that they can go ahead with the workings and the plan for the day. But the issue is, would they be able to complete it? No, I don't think they'll be able to complete it. That is why they need to resolve the issue now. That is why the Speaker of Parliament, for me, I think all these things lie in the bosom of the Speaker. The Speaker needs to give a ruling he deems right. If you have any issue with it, challenge it. Go through the procedure to challenge it. I don't believe that both sides should be disrupting the proceedings as we go forward. If you have issues, there are laid down rules and regulations on how to address these issues, how to challenge rulings of the Speaker. Go ahead and do it. They are not there for themselves. I think one thing parliamentarians should know is that they are not sitting in Parliament for themselves. They didn't get up and go and sit in that chamber for themselves. They were voted for by the people of Ghana to go and perform a particular duty.
For and on behalf of the people.
For and on behalf of the, of the people. And it is based on that duty that every month they receive salary.
True.
So then they should know that when they go to the House of the House of Parliament, it is the people first, not their interest, not party interest. It is the interest of the people of Ghana. That should be paramount. And when they return, I hope that they all would sit down and reflect and know that we are here representing the people of Ghana and not ourselves or our political parties.
Very well. Now there's a suspension due to a disagreement. The minority believes that their statement is addressed to the Speaker, and so the Speaker should give a directive on same. They do not want to hear from the majority leader at all. So as it stands now, there's a stalemate. We understand the leadership is meeting. We await the outcome of that. This is a live coverage of parliamentary proceedings. Taking dominance today is the matter of the Kpandai seat being declared vacant by a letter from the clerk to Parliament to the Electoral Commission, owing from that High Court order for a rerun in the constituency. We'll take a break here. When the Speaker recalls the House, we'll go back and bring you proceedings.
Santa, all I want this holiday
is special family time.
Whenever you come around family, you can find love.
To go on an adventure.
Tickets to every game.
Some giggles.
And a puppy.
Let's go!
Yippee!
This holiday, simply stay connected and get all you want on DSTV, your home of entertainment.
Rooted in heritage. Shaped by ambition. Defined by style. Inspired by soul. This is Afro Quality, the first multi-country concept store for African brands. Now in Nairobi, Kigali, and Accra.
In December 2023, the biggest play in the history of African theatre made its debut.
Before Ogun, the God of Iron, I stand on oath.
You saw it.
We sent you all the way to Ileife to bring us greetings from Ifa.
By popular